In physics, the twin paradox is a thought experiment in special relativity involving identical twins, one of whom makes a journey into space in a high-speed rocket and returns home to find that the twin who remained on Earth has aged more. This result appears puzzling because each twin sees the other twin as moving, and so, according to an incorrect and naive application of time dilation and the principle of relativity, each should paradoxically find the other to have aged less. However, this scenario can be resolved within the standard framework of special relativity. The traveling twin's trajectory involves two different inertial frames, one for the outbound journey and one for the inbound journey. Another way of looking at it is by realizing that the traveling twin is undergoing acceleration, which makes him a non-inertial observer. In both views, there is no symmetry between the space-time paths of the twins. Therefore, the twin paradox is not a paradox in the sense of a logical contradiction. Starting with Paul Langevin in 1911, there have been various explanations of this paradox. These explanations can be grouped into those that focus on the effect of different standards of simultaneity in different frames, and those that designate the acceleration experienced by the traveling twin as the main reason. Max von Laue argued in 1913 that since the traveling twin must be in two separate inertial frames, one on the way out and another on the way back, this frame switch is the reason for the aging difference. Explanations put forth by Albert Einstein and Max Born invoked gravitational time dilation to explain the aging as a direct effect of acceleration. However, it has been proven that general relativity, or even acceleration, are not necessary to explain the effect, as the effect still applies to a theoretical observer that can invert the direction of motion instantly, maintaining constant speed all through the two phases of the trip. Such observer can be thought of as a pair of observers, one traveling away from the starting point and another traveling toward it, passing by each other where the turnaround point would be. At this moment, the clock reading in the first observer is transferred to the second one, both maintaining constant speed, with both trip times being added at the end of their journey. Medical science loves twins. The near-perfect physical and genetic match makes for ideal conditions to compare and contrast human responses to environmental change. And when the twins also happen to be astronauts, it's like striking research gold. That's why NASA leapt at the opportunity when U.S. astronaut Scott Kelly suggested that he and his identical twin brother, Mark, could be test subjects for an investigation on the health effects of long-term space flight. A first-of-its-kind study was hatched. Scott would travel to the International Space Station and stay there for 1 year, working and living the life of an astronaut in the confines of microgravity. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Mark would serve as a genetically identical ground control, working and living the life of a typical, untethered civilian. After years of processing data, the official release of a study comparing twin astronauts Scott and Mark Kelly is finally here. One clear trend emerged in the findings, which were published today in the journal Science. A year in space changed Scott Kelly's body, but many of those changes were only temporary and vanished after time back on the ground.